Hey guys, and welcome to the newest episode of Be Hero Presents the Bump Card Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Brian, and with me tonight is my tag partner, Psycho. How are you tonight, Psycho?
I'm doing fantastic. Just finished a move, and so I'm recording this podcast from my new place. So, yeah.
As you guys have obviously noticed, we've had a few weeks off of being able to put out new episodes for both Bump Card and Slightly Agitated. Between shows and moving, and I had a vacation to go visit family, and had some big life changes that were happening. So we had to take some time off to get everything squared away. But we are back and ready to go. And what an episode we have for you today. Of course, it's going to be a great episode because it is Wembley. AEW All In Wembley. And I could not be more excited. So we will go and talk about AEW in Wembley in just a moment. But as we always do, we are going to talk the World Wrestling News. So, Psycho, hit me with that news, baby.
I thought you were going to say we were going to Red Lobster. I don't know. Okay. So, with wrestling news, we're going to first start by talking about something a little bit sad. Sid Vicious, Sid Udi, also known as Sid Justice, or Psycho Sid, has passed away this week.
After battle cancer, I believe.
Yeah. I didn't even know he had cancer. But I guess they had kept that pretty, under wraps. But yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those situations too where I wished we would have saw him inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame while he was alive. Because that would have been a good. I'm sure he would have gave a great speech at the Hall of Fame.
Did you see the interview he did about a year before, or about a year ago, when somebody asked him about being inducted, and his response was, Vince never really liked him, so he's not surprised he never got an induction while Vince was in charge, but he's a bit surprised he hasn't heard from the WWE since Vince has been out. And that was like the last thing he said about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that he'll get in now. He might even be in this next year. I could see that. Sid's one of those interesting characters because, not the best worker in the ring, but he was believable and he was scary, and he with the right opponent, he had great matches. He had the it factor, right? And the size and the look. I'm actually surprised to hear that Vince didn't like him because, Sid seems like if Vince McMahon was going to, pick what a wrestler should look like, I'm sure Sid fits that mold.
Oh yeah, I mean, huge. He was 6'8", massive body on him, the blonde and the intensity, right? That dude could look intense by just staring at you. I'm pretty sure he had such great intensity in his look. Even people when he was ordering food were scared of him. So, he had everything that you would want from a heel worker at the time. And you see it in some of those great matches and storylines he had, with him and Shawn. Shawn even put a thing out after the passing, literally saying that there wouldn't be a Shawn Michaels without a Sid Vicious.
Yeah, it was, his match with Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 1996, probably one of Sid's best matches. And the crowd was going crazy for Sid. They basically turned on Shawn. It was Madison Square Garden, and yeah, it was that was the pop he got when he beat Shawn Michaels for the championship. was a great one. And then, they had the big rematch in San Antonio at Royal Rumble 97. And other great Sid memories that I remember. I mean, obviously he main evented a couple of WrestleManias. Not the best matches, but he did main event against Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 8. And then he main evented against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 13. So a couple of big WrestleMania matches for him, or main events for him. And then his WCW stuff is Sid Vicious. I mean, he was he had the great feud with Sting. They put on decent matches. Obviously, we were just talking about Sid breaking his leg not that long ago on the podcast.
Yeah. We actually talked about him a lot recently too, because when we went back and did our reviews for what was it? War Games not too long ago. We talked about match or like the best and worst War Games matches, and he was involved in one of those two.
You know what's funny is that you said not that long ago the War Games review was very early on in our podcast, and so that had to have been like a year or two ago.
Was it? I felt like it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, because we had Dave on for that, so it's been a while.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yes.
Too many chair shots to the head.
Huh?
Too many chair shots to the head.
I get that. But yeah, he had. I mean, he was WCW champion, WWF champion. He definitely. I think he achieved a lot in his wrestling career. He probably could have achieved more, but he always had to take breaks for softball. That was always the big joke, is that is it softball season, when you had to take a break. But it was, but Sid, he just had that presence, and it's sad, sad that he's no longer with us.
It's very true. Oh, no. The wishes and, prayers and all that nonsense out to his family and everybody else. So.
Yes. Some other news making the rounds. So, okay, I'm going to go to another sad thing. Not sad because somebody's dead, but did you hear? So the former Nikki Garcia, her husband, Artem, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name, got arrested for domestic violence today as we're recording this.
I did not hear that.
TMZ has reported it. It's not clear whether or not Nikki's involved, but I mean, I don't want to make assumptions, but I mean, it says domestic violence. So, but she hasn't issued any statements. I wouldn't think that. It's still pretty early because it happened literally today as we record this morning, and they've already got he's still under arrest, under detainment. There's a $25,000 bond already that they've set. So that means that he's already been arraigned and everything. But I don't know any details about it, but it is news.
That's true, and it's sad. I mean, obviously for whatever allegedly happened, it's sad. But also, like, he makes his money on Dancing with the Stars, and they're not going to have him come back after whatever may allegedly happen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, don't know the situation there, but I mean, I guess that news will come out. Yeah. So here's an interesting thing. And I'm definitely going to watch this. Next month, there's going to be a docuseries on Netflix about Vince McMahon. Have you heard this?
I heard that they were making one a couple different times that they end up canceling and like thrashing both of them.
This one is airing next month, September September 25th. It's a 10-part documentary series on Mr. McMahon, the rise and fall of Vince McMahon, which is really interesting because I'm surprised that Netflix is moving forward on that, considering that they just signed a big deal with WWE for Monday Night Raw and everything to start airing there in January. It's supposed to have been, so I guess that they've taped over 100 hours of interviews with people, that are close to Vince McMahon or that, have worked with Vince or anything like that. And they're also airing like previous interviews with Vince McMahon as part of this. And I hope there's some footage in there that somebody has too of different things behind the scenes. But yeah, I think it's that one I'm going to watch for sure, because it'll be interesting to see what comes out.
I'm intrigued, but I'm also more intrigued to see what kind of backlash this creates. No pun intended.
Right. Yeah, it's I'm actually surprised, but 10 parts, 10 1-hour specials, they can cover a lot in 10 hours.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff that they can do. I would imagine it's not going to be a complete fluff, because they're talking about Vince, so I don't know.
Well, what do you think they're going to cover? Like, they're going to obviously talk about his early days.
Yeah, his rise, buying the company from his father, I would imagine.
The steroids trial.
The steroid trial for 100% will get covered.
Trial.
Allegations of probably the sex scandals of the 90s, probably. The screw job probably will get covered.
Yep.
Buying WCW. What was that?
Buying WCW.
Yep. So that'll get covered. Probably. Oh my gosh. Trying to think of his name. There's a lot to cover, honestly, with Vince. Like, I always said that it's like, if Vince McMahon wrote a book, that would be that would be an interesting thing if it was honest. But
this is going to be the next best thing.
This is because Vince doesn't have any say in it. So it's going to be, people. And what's interesting about this too is that people can speak out and not be afraid of not getting a job with the, in the industry anymore. Right?
True.
So we're going to hear some things come out probably that wouldn't have come out otherwise. So yeah, I'm intrigued.
You've heard about his health issues too, right?
I've heard a little bit about that.
Apparently he's been having a ton of health issues. The blog I read about it, I can't remember where it was from, but the blog I read about it stated that it sounds like he's not long for this world, as in like within the next probably a few years, but still, like, his health issues are pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know. This probably won't help things for him.
But then that brings up a question I have for you.
Yeah.
Does the WWE do a farewell to Vince
if he passes?
Yeah, within the next couple of years. Like, if he passes 10 years from now, I think they will. They're going to have a long enough period that they'll be able to, like, not bury it, but, like, smooth it over enough that they feel like they could. But within the next year or two?
I think in the next year or two, he'd get a graphic before Raw starts, and then they wouldn't mention it. That's just I mean, it definitely, you'd think that there'd be more, but right now it's a touchy subject, especially with his trial not, like, it hasn't even started yet. And so if, and this is a big if he goes to trial and somehow, it's, he ends up winning the case or something like that, or it ends up, settling out of court even, it's possible that it could blow over and he could, maybe they could do something. Yeah, as far
as his actual case, like the civil case, is postponed.
Yeah, for how long?
Well, they're going to look at a legal case.
Right.
And it's postponed until that findings are done with that.
Right. So I think it would depend on if the case was over or not. If I think if he passed, before that has run its course, I think it would be a blur before Raw or SmackDown, probably all their events. But I don't think anybody would say anything. It would be, it would just be, they would acknowledge it. No, not that kind of acknowledge. But he's not the new tribal chief. It was me all along, Roman. Not that. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
All right. Any other news?
Last one. And this is kind of it doesn't spoil anything for All In that we're about to talk about, but it is one piece from Dynamite that happened this week. Did you see the Jon Moxley promo?
No, I did hear about it. At least a bit. I heard what the expectation from the promo is.
So he calls out Darby Allin, right? About who wasn't there. And which is okay, so okay, they're gonna it's probably gonna be Moxley and Darby Allin all out. Right? Mm-hmm. It would be my guess. Which is, a couple weeks from now or whatever. But then, Tony Schiavone's doing the interviewing and he's about to wrap it up. And Moxley, who was going out of the ring, comes back in, grabs the mic and looks at Tony Schiavone and says, "This is not your company anymore." And then he walks off and the announcers are just like, what the heck does that mean? What is he talking about? Now, the rumor that this is setting up is that this is going to introduce Shane McMahon to do a power struggle company, angle. And they could redo the thing where like, let's say Tony Khan says, that, we've got the Warner Brothers Discovery deal, we've got a renewal, and then Shane comes out and says, the deal's done, but the name on the contract does not say Khan, it says McMahon. Something like that, like, and then you do a whole thing. I think that, honestly, it could work.
Well, I agree, and I also think what they'll do is they'll build to ostensibly a match, but not between Shane and Tony.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
It'll be like their EVPs kind of thing. So you'll have like Kenny Omega and Christopher Daniels against like the Bucks or something like that. And you'll have Khan and Shane in the corners. So like Shane will be in the corners of the Bucks, the evil EVPs. And you'll have Daniels and I just said his name.
Omega?
Yeah, Omega in Tony's corner. And then those two would just be in the corners of. I think that's a decent way to play it.
I've got a better way. Okay. So putting on my creative booking hat here. my fantasy booker hat. I would not have it be the Bucks with Shane. If you really want to draw money with this, you have the Bucks basically, supposedly break kayfabe, where they get realigned with Tony and Omega, and maybe even Hangman Adam Page or whoever, from that side, because you know what, we have to put all this aside because we've got an onslaught against our company, and you have Shane with all the former WWE guys like Moxley, like Jericho,
Christian.
Like, Christian, all of those type of guys. They have enough of them. They do it that way, and those guys, the promos that Christian could do on this, or or Jericho, like gold. Like that's how I would do it. I wouldn't do evil, Bucks against Omega and whatever. No, I wouldn't do that. I would do it the opposite, where the Bucks are like, what we were doing. Almost, I don't know. Like what we were doing was, was an angle, but this is real. This is a real. I don't know. There's a way to do it, but almost like back when the NWO angle happened, and you had the heels basically like running to the back, like they don't know what to do because the NWO, they have to unite with the other WCW guys, to take on this outsider, so to speak.
The only problem I see with that is, and honestly, it's not even a problem per se, but that is too much of a well thought out and quality story to be booked. That makes it really hard. The easy story is essentially the one I just proposed, which is a story.
But that one won't draw as much attention and money as the other way. Now you say that, because that's not Tony Khan's forte, right? To do something like that. However, if Shane has a hand in it and says, no, this is how it should be done, and Tony listens, could be a big boost. It could be a turnaround in ratings and attendance. Especially if they can get, into, they use Shane's connections. Do you believe though that this is leading to Shane coming in? Is he actually going to come in?
I don't know.
It seems likely at this point though, right?
I feeling at this point that we're almost talking it into an existence more than anything else.
Like CM Punk showing up at Survivor Series last year.
Yeah, I think that's what has started to happen, is this thought that people had about Shane coming, and now they're like, oh, that's not a bad idea.
See, everyone was like, there were a lot of people panning it at first, but now this is intriguing. I don't know.
Well, it makes it worth watching, and that's what you always want, right? You want to always get something that makes you be like, oh, I kind of want to watch and see what happens.
And it'll get people talking, which is something that they desperately need.
Yeah.
So, because, they haven't really been talking about it in this kind of way since CM Punk left the company. I'm just saying. So that's our news.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now that we've covered all that, let's go ahead and go right into the review for AEW's All In Wembley Part 2. Which, sadly, we'll start off the bat, did not draw the same as it drew last year.
No, but you know what?
We're always long road to hoe for that, so.
That was to be expected, right? The first time, is always the sweetest, right?
Don't tell my wife that.
But they were never going to draw 80,000 back-to-back year because the novelties ran off, right? It's like they got their first-time event. 50 plus thousand people though is nothing to sneeze at.
No, not at all. And especially for what AEW's been drawing, right? Like they're big shows, like when they did Wrestle Dream and even Forbidden Door, were only like 19 and like 30,000 respectively. So 50,000, 55,000, whatever it was, is pretty dang good in England. So
yeah, and I think too, like the setup looked good, for what they had. Yes, you could see some empty seats and whatnot, but it's still, the atmosphere was still there, and it seemed like a big match feel all night.
it did. Like the whole show, it definitely had a air of WrestleMania feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not going to say it felt like WrestleMania because it's not. Nothing's going to feel like that outside of WrestleMania, but it had that air to it for an AEW show.
I feel though that like this one, I actually feel like this was a better card than last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year,
I was going to say, I think part of that too is this has been more thought out over the last year, where that one was kind of thrown together in a sense to try and make sure that they had everything. So the card wasn't as good last year's because of such, and this one's a lot better. And they had a lot more stories building into this, which they don't normally do.
I think the problem with last year, they basically, the card that they put on was basically like that's what they would have put on if it was any other pay-per-view, and it just happened to be in front of 80,000 people, right? So that was the cool thing. It's like seeing that, but the card, if you would have told me that MJF and Adam Cole last year was going to main event the biggest, pay-per-view of all time for AEW, it's like, that's your money match. Like, yes, it was great and they were having a good story, but it's still the rest of the card. It didn't seem like they were doing anything special. Now, they did do some surprises last year and some cool things with music and whatnot, but this year they weren't selling it on just the name alone or the first time novelty, because it wasn't that. They sold it on the stories and the matches and
the surprise returns,
right? So yeah, this one felt like they put more effort into it, and yeah, it was a good show. I mean, and nobody got into a fight backstage, so that's a plus.
I mean, I guess
we did get real glass on the show, though, which we'll get to. But
we did. Let's go ahead now and just jump right into the first match. There was a few matches on the pre-show. We're not going to go over and talk over those. Though those were pretty good matches, anyways, on the pre-show. But we're not going to talk over those this time. So we're going to go right into our first match.
Yeah, which the entrances for this match happened during the pre-show, which was interesting. I liked it though because they were able to give more time to the matches, I guess. But they start with the AEW Trios ladder match for the AEW Trios title. You got the Patriarchy versus the House of Black versus the Bang Bang Gang versus Pac and Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. So yeah, there is a lot of bodies in this match. It was a very different ladder match too. I don't remember a lot of the spots in this match, so it wasn't that kind of a ladder match though. Like there were some spots that were like, oh my gosh, but it was a very well worked ladder match where it wasn't about the crazy spots, it was more about the story, I felt like. And I think that has a lot to do with Christian being in the match. But yeah, I mean, I like that there's new champions crowned. You had Pac, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta win the trios championships. It was good. It was a decent opener. I can't remember a lot of specific spots, so maybe if you can remember any.
I can't really either. Like I remember enjoying it. I thought it did what it needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
The only spot I remember was actually the finish. Christian gets knocked down off the ladder and is being helped back up by Killswitch, Luchasaurus. And he does the like lifting him up on his shoulders to try and push him up the ladder kind of thing. And Pac runs in there and climbs up the other side of the ladder, kicks Christian off of Luchasaurus' shoulders and grabs the belt. Like that was a good spot. And like there was a spot previously that built into that where Luchasaurus was like the only guy standing, is on the top of the ladder about to reach for the belt, and then Christian yelled at him saying he wanted to be the guy that grabbed the belts, and then caused both of them to fall once he got up there because they took too much time. Like there was a good story in the match.
Well, and that story will play out a little bit later in the show as well, for that finish. But yeah, this was more about the story and almost foreshadowing a little bit, moving stories along. So next we have the AEW Women's World Title match. Toni Storm defending against Mariah May. I thought this was an excellent women's match. And I've enjoyed actually the story leading up to this match and how they did the slow burn for months. And then they finally had Mariah May turn on Toni Storm. And it was in a brutal fashion, leaving her bloody. And there was blood in this match too. So it fit the story. I know that some people don't like blood, with women, and I'm usually one of those. I don't know. This one I didn't mind it as much. I don't know why that is. But I think it fit the story more in this match. Rather than it didn't feel like it was blood for the sake of blood in this match. This match though was pretty good. It told a good story. The work was good. Let's see here. And you actually had Mariah had drop kicked Luther at ringside into the barricade. It was a good drop kick from Mariah May, but Luther didn't want to take that. What's that?
So yeah, not the greatest bump.
Yeah. But I mean, at one point, I believe Toni Storm did a pile driver to Mariah on the steps.
Yes.
Which that's my only kind of gripe. Is like, remember in the old days, when somebody would take a pile driver on the steps, they would be like stretchered out. Like they'd stop the match. It'd be over, And now it's, I guess that's kind of the times that we live in with wrestling, and now somebody can do, huh?
Last year they did the brainbuster spot on the stairs with Cole and MJF, and they almost like played it like almost like a stoppage of the match. So like it is match specific, it seems like.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know. It's now we live in a time where somebody can do 5 back-to-back Canadian destroyers and they kick out at 2, and it is what it is, I guess. But this match was good otherwise. I mean, for a women's match, probably one of the better women's matches in AEW, at least recently. And
especially
they built. What's that?
especially comparison against later.
We'll get to that. Yeah. This one though, it ends with, it tells a good story, and Mariah May actually beats Toni Storm with the Storm Zero pile driver. So actually beats her with her own move. Yeah, it was. I thought this was actually really good, and at this point, it was better than the ladder match that preceded it. Any other thoughts on this match?
No, I think you nailed it. Like, this was a very good women's match, but Toni has been bringing it with every match she's done lately. She is hands down one of the best female wrestlers in the business right now, and she knows her gimmick and how she does everything so well with it. And then the story with Mariah May, like, I'm sure they'll do a rematch, but I'd like to see what happens for the next component for Mariah May to see if she's able to continue with that, because that'll tell you whether she's a good worker or not too. Not saying that she didn't do good, but if she's a good worker or not.
Right. If it wasn't just right place, right time with Toni.
Exactly.
Yeah. Toni Storm's definitely, like, I think she's taken the mantle in AEW of the best, and the biggest star as far as the women go in AEW. Mm-hmm. She took that from Britt Baker, who was the previous standard bearer, but we'll get to her a little bit later, like you mentioned. So the next match, we've got the FTW Championship match: Chris Jericho versus Hook. Fozzy, Jericho's band Fozzy was there to play Jericho down to the ring, and he sings his own entrance music, which he's done before. I thought this was good. I actually, before we get to the match, I like the whole thing with Jericho where he's like, "Hi guys," like I really like that. Although you know what that reminds me of?
Eugene?
No, I was going to say Taylor Swift.
Oh.
With her song. You know the song I'm talking about?
No, it's Taylor Swift, and I'm a male. I don't listen to that.
Just saying. Anybody out there who listens to Taylor Swift, you should know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I don't necessarily like the faction of the Learning Tree. I think I don't know. I don't think it does anybody any favors. And I'm really, for the most part, I'm glad I hope this was the finale to this whole feud between him and Hook. It seems like they've been like feuding forever, and they've had so many matches. But
you want how many matches they've had?
How many?
One other one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well this it seems like it's more. And the feud's been going a while though, right?
They had one at the beginning of it, which then made Jericho want to join him as tagging for a while. They did that story where they screw him over. They screws him over, and then he does have the match that he takes the FTW title. And then he had to deal with all the Learning Tree the garbage and everything else. And then this match. So I guess technically he's had 3 matches with him over like 6 months.
Okay, well, I didn't like any of it, to be honest. Now, this match was way better than their previous match.
Yes.
The previous match was hot garbage, and it was a complete, cluster. This one actually seemed like, it was... what's the word I'm looking for? It was... I want to say... What's that?
Serviceable?
Yes, that'll work. That'll work. Yes. This was a serviceable match. The spot that I remember most about this match is Jericho bringing a bag into the ring, and it's basically this is the match where they had the pool balls, right? The rugby balls, right?
Cricket.
Darn it. I'm sorry, mixing up my sports there. But Yeah, the cricket ball, and then they did have the barbed wire in this, if I remember correctly.
They did. They had a table, and then they pulled out a piece of plywood and with barbed wire on it, and laid it onto the table. And then you had Big Bill, I think, if I remember right. He goes over it or goes through it.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. And uh, then there was a big pop when the whole learning tree is interfering and whatnot, and Taz, Hook's father, actually stands up, has had enough, and chokes out Brian Keith. And it's at the same time Hook chokes out Jericho and regains the title. This was, I mean, way better. It had a better story too, and it had a better finish for sure. Yeah, up until that point, I mean, Taz got a good pop, for his moment. So this was okay.
Yeah, I was fine with this. It was serviceable. It was not one of the best Hook matches, but it was a better Hook match than we've seen in a while.
See, and I'm not a huge fan of Hook. Like, I think he's, it's been, a couple years now or whatever, and he's still so green. Like, he needs more reps. Whatever it is, he needs more reps, and he needs somebody to stop telling him he's good. I'm just saying, he needs somebody, to really take him under their wing, and I don't think Jericho was that guy. But he needs, I don't know, him as the FTW champion. I don't know if they're still doing house shows, but he needs to work them, or he needs to go to an indie, and work non-televised matches in front of crowds. And I just don't think he's a little bit better than David Flair. Okay, he's a little bit as far as second generation wrestlers go. But I think he's still under Eric Watts. So as far as skill goes at this point. So that's kind of where I would place him.
I would put him above Watts as well, honestly. Like, because he at least has an it factor to him.
Wait,
like
you would put him better than Eric Watts? I wouldn't. I think Eric Watts is a better worker, or was a better worker than Hook.
I think that he's a better worker than Hook, but I think Hook has the better it factor.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
Because there's certain things that you can train, right? You can make a person a better worker, but it's hard to get them to teach them how to have the it factor. And Hook has it. Boy, one needs to eat a damn sandwich, and two, he needs a lot more reps. If he can get someone good to train under, like, send him back to the fucking Monster Factory. Excuse my language. To go train under QT for like a year or so. I mean, you could still have him working TV, but have him training when he's not on TV and stuff like that, and go learn properly. He has the tools.
I hope, by the way, that that's exactly what he's doing, is training when he's not on TV. Because if he's just relying on his televised matches, and that's the only, and maybe he gets in the ring day of show to learn stuff, it's not enough. It's not enough time. He needs more. And, to kind of circle back to your comment about you can train someone to be a worker, or to work, but you can't train them to have the it factor. Yeah, tell that to the Great Khali. Okay? It's like... It's like he had the it factor.
He did, but there's also a level of athleticism which Hook also has, and Khali did not. Like, okay. Khali took effort to get out of bed in the morning. So,
if I was Hook, I'd have efforts to get out of bed in the morning. I'm just saying. If I knew I was going to be on television having these kinds of matches. But
the boy puts more effort in his hair than he does for getting out of bed in the
morning. Yeah. True story.
Anyhow.
Yeah. moving on to the next match, we've got. And by the way, don't worry. I still think Austin Theory is better than Hook. So there's a plus for Austin Theory. Anyway,
Still has had else than Ricky Stark. Anyhow,
not for long. I think Ricky Stark is going to be a big star when he goes over to WWE. But
we'll see. Yeah, TV. So, anyhow, next match.
Yes, AEW World Tag Team titles. The Young Bucks versus the Acclaim versus FTR. This is basically a rematch of last year's All In, but throwing the Acclaimed into it.
This was my match.
What?
This was my piss break match.
This was just there for me. Like, it didn't have the heat of last year. It didn't have the work rate of last year. It really just seemed like another match. Like, this seemed like a match that would have been on Collision or something. Like, I don't know.
I'm done with the Bucks and FTR of any variety. I'm just done with them. Like, they're all good workers, right? On the FTR end, they're fantastic workers. But this match has been so played out, and they're not giving anything new to the story. Even adding the Acclaim in didn't feel like it was anything new.
No, they need more tag teams, honestly, because they can't keep circling back to these same three teams. Like,
yep. And somehow they have enough people on their roster to also have trios titles.
Yeah, no. If they're not going to have enough tag teams, they need to abandon the trios idea and break up some of those and form some new tag teams and be great at that before you start introducing trios titles. But that's just me.
Well, you can still have the trios too, and you can do like oh my gosh, my brain just turned off. This trio tag team with Michael Hayes.
The Freebirds?
Yes, thank you. I don't know why my brain was not going. You can do the Freebirds style trios with them, without any of the trios, and then have them as tag teams.
Yeah, you definitely could. But yeah, they need to do something. I love tag team wrestling. I really do when it's done right. And AEW's had some great tag team matches in their history. It seems like they've kind of taken, I don't know, a step back, or the focus isn't on it anymore. Which you'd think it would be with the Young Bucks, being executive vice presidents. You'd think that should be their job, is building up the tag team division. But usually it's just to put themselves over. Is what it seems like anyway. But I'm sure they're nice guys. Anyway, this match though, like, I don't know, the Acclaimed actually, they did like they normally do. They do their rap at the beginning. But they were having audio problems or something, because I could barely hear what they were saying.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you their rap for this show.
Don't know, don't care.
Sometimes it's good, though. They've had some good ones in the past.
Like I said, man, like, even with adding the Acclaim in, this has all been played out to me. I had no F's to give about this match whatsoever.
And the Bucks win, of course. So they retained, so it didn't really, go anywhere. But, they did have a return at the end after the match. Or maybe it was a debut. I don't know. You got the Grizzled Young Vets.
Yeah, for the match. It was not a return, but a
debut.
A debut.
Okay, so they because they were in NXT last I remember them.
And then they went back over to Impact, I believe, for a while.
Okay. I don't watch Impact, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, and so I haven't seen enough of the grizzled young vets to know if that's a quality signing or if they're just two other guys.
They are a good signing for AEW because they're very much the AEW style tag team.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need more tag teams. So, hey, if that's going to help their tag division or give us a story that's not Young Bucks and FTR, I'm all for it.
Remind me, since we're talking about return, was the Soraya thing on the pre-show?
Yes.
So let's talk about that real fast, since we're right here and we have that moment.
Yeah.
We also had the return of Jamie Hayter.
Yes, yes. That was the best thing. That was the best thing on the pre-show, I think.
Soraya came out, was complaining that she was on the show and everything else, even though she's in England, and she's just getting general heat. And talked about how nobody could beat her, yada, yada, yada. And Jamie Hayter, who's also from England, made her return looking great. I'm excited to have her back. And she just whooped everyone's butt, came in, took out most of the knights, including Soraya's mom. And it was good all around stuff for Jamie Hayter. And again, I'm excited to see what she does.
I wish they would have done this on the main show, to be honest. I think that was bigger than the pre-show.
I agree. Like, they could have just had somebody eat 10 minutes to do this. So
I think that would have been a good buffer to have that before the main event, to be honest.
Yeah.
It would have got the crowd hyped again, with a long show, and the crowd would have been even more into the main event.
Well, we talked about a match we'll talk about here shortly that needed to have a buffer between that and another match. This would have been a great spot for that. You remember those two matches we're talking about?
I'm not sure if we're on the same page here, but I think it should have been actually right. Now that I think about it, instead of right before the main, it should have been right before the other women's match, because that would have got people really riled up. And then you could have even had almost a stare down as they pass them, going, I don't know, there could have been something there.
I was thinking right after the MJF match, MJF and
right,
and which was right before the women's match, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yep, that would have been good space for it, I think.
Yep. It would have been a nice cool down from that match. So, but let's go ahead and keep going.
Yeah. So now we've got the Casino Battle Royal. Winner of this gets a title shot against the world champion, anytime they want it. Basically like Money in the Bank.
Casino Gauntlet, I believe, is what it was.
Sorry, Casino Gauntlet.
Not Battle Royal. Battle Royal, people go over top rope. This was an interesting one. It was Royal Rumble style, so people would come in on a timer, but it was first pinner submission. And it was kind of an interesting concept to get it to go.
Yeah. Apparently they've done two others of these in AEW. That Will Ospreay's won both of them.
I thought those ones were the ones where they would it was like a ladder match where you had to pull down a chip off the thing.
No, I'm talking about not that one, but because that was the one that the devil one and stuff. No, I'm talking. They did one where Will Ospreay won to face to challenge Roderick Strong for the international championship. And then he won one to challenge Swerve Strickland for the AEW championship, and then Swerve, beat him there, if I remember correctly. But
I don't remember the matches. I mean, I remember the matches that they had with what. But I don't remember the battle, the gauntlet.
I could be wrong. I don't know. That's just what I've read. I didn't actually see those matches either. Because they happen on the weeklies, and I watch highlights of the weeklies, so I could get some things mixed up. But so this match though was really good. Not just a good concept, but it had surprises. It had great action. So just kind of running through this. So it starts Orange Cassidy's number one. And I've got to mention that Orange Cassidy's entrance video, the whole like parody of Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing, amazing, amazing! I loved it. You know, AEW does do some good, like some awesome video packages when they want to, like this. Or I remember the whole thing with MJF. Yep, with the he's our asshole, or no, he's our scumbag, right?
Scumbag. Yep.
Yep. So, so they do great stuff when they, choose to. So Orange Cassidy's number 1. Then you've got Okada number 2. And they do good. They do good work. Number 3, though, like popped the crowd huge. Nigel McGuinness comes out.
Making his day after being injured almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, like this is one that, yes, we hoped. I think it was more a hope that he would get cleared to, to wrestle again or have a match. I didn't expect it here, though, in this match. And I don't know if I really believe that it was actually going to happen. I think I lost hope that it was finally going to happen. But he looked fantastic.
Yes, he did.
Like, he looked like he was in great shape. His ring work looked like he hadn't missed a step. Like, his
timing was off a little bit, but it was a super little.
Yeah, like, it was really, really good, though. Like, honestly, he looks like he could have better matches at this stage of his career than Chris Jericho. Like yeah. Honestly, like, he looked fantastic. So,
and I'm excited to see more Nigel McGuinness wrestling.
I hope this wasn't a one-off. I hope, now that, especially with how good he looked, like, it kind of reminds me of when Shawn Michaels got cleared to return after his back injury, and everyone thought that might be a one-off, and then he looked so fantastic and he felt fine that it ended up being a better second half of his career than the first half of his career. So it, not to compare Nigel to Shawn, but I mean, Nigel's fantastic.
Shawn.
No, that's what I meant. I meant like Shawn's, great. I didn't want to, some people will be like, Nigel's not Shawn though, but Nigel's fantastic. That's what I meant. Not to put down Shawn, of course, who honestly is probably the greatest wrestler of all time, if I'm being honest. And that's coming from a Bret Hart guy. So, all right. So number 4 comes out, Kyle O'Reilly. I'm loving this. I didn't catch this on commentary the first time, but I did hear that this was said. Taz on commentary in reference to Nigel McGuinness, like in the match in wrestling, he says, "Does this mean I have to work Saturdays now?"
Yeah,
because he calls Collision, which is fantastic.
Well, that's over too, because at one point Nigel McGuinness is like, you all right there, bud?
Yes, I didn't fall off my chair. We're good. I just smacked my desk and it made it jiggle.
But no, Taz made mention, like, he's like, yeah, our commentary team's doing amazing tonight, talking about him and Nigel McGuinness doing like the stuff because he was in that thing with Hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so funny commentary there. And then next out was Zack Sabre Jr., who also got a very good reaction. And this was fresh off of him winning the G1 Climax. and he looked good in this match. Like, this is the workers' match at this point. You've got so many great workers in this ring. The work rate was just like, it kept getting improved. Then you've got Roderick Strong in at number 6. So again, more work rate people. Number 7, Mark Briscoe. And then you've got Hangman Adam Page, number 8. Which, you know, the star power in this match is fantastic. Not just the work rate, but the star power. Almost like there's so many of these guys could realistically have won this match.
Well, we were talking about that at one point. It literally got to a point of like, who wins this match is going to really determine who wins the main event. Because we were talking about like, there's so many good quality people that could win it, but there's only so many storylines that they could do relative to who wins it.
Yep. Yeah, and then Jeff Jarrett is number 9. He gets a pretty good babyface, pop here from the crowd. Mm-hmm.
Which is such a weird thing to see Jeff Jarrett get a babyface pop.
Yeah, it's weird times. And he looks good, too. He looks like he's still having good matches out there. It's like, this guy's like the LeBron James of wrestling at this point. Still competing at a high level. But then we have a huge debut at number 10 in this match. He's finally here, Ricochet.
Yeah.
And he just comes out, starts flipping all over the place, and doing his stuff and hitting high spots and looking good in this match. It was a good debut here. Number 11, hobbling out to the ring, is Christian Cage. He lost his title, his trios title earlier in the night, comes out here to try to get a shot at another title.
Yep.
And let's see here. Lots of action going on here. Number 12 then is Luchasaurus, which I thought was really interesting because, he was Killswitch, or he was Luchasaurus, then he was Killswitch. He comes out as Luchasaurus, and you think, okay, so now he's back to Luchasaurus. He's going to have a babyface run. But he actually helps out Christian, chokeslams Kyle O'Reilly before putting Christian on top for the win, and Christian gets the title shot. If all of that was going to happen, why change his name back? Unless, are they going to say, no, now he's Killswitch again, and that was just a one-off as Luchasaurus? I'm very confused by the booking of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. They've been kind of playing around with this tease, like Killswitch is finally going to turn on him. But I don't know. I think that's trying to build to that and play with that, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel earned.
Yeah, I don't know. And this match was so awesome, though, up until this point. And I think, I love Christian. I just think, unless Christian is going to end up winning this championship, why? They could have went with anybody else, and this would have been, this could have been match of the night had it had a better finish, I feel. Mm-hmm. It was that good. Up until the end. This was honestly, most of this match better than most, not most, but better than some Rumbles that I've seen. So, especially with debuts and surprises and the work. Yeah, I really enjoyed this match, though.
I did too, for the most part. I'm kind of with you on the finish. But that's the problem a lot of times, is the finish ruins matches, or saves bad matches. So you always have to be careful with the finish. And this one felt like it blew it. with the finish. And not saying that Christian shouldn't have won because Christian was just as valid as just about anybody else. But I think with the whole Luchasaurus thing and everything else, like if you're going to do it, have Luchasaurus turn on him in it, and then have him win on a fluke of some variety or something like that. I would have been fine with that, I think. But that's not what they did, so.
Yeah, because then you might be thinking, oh, Christian might win it, and his next challenger will be Luchasaurus, right? I think it would have lent more credibility to Christian possibly winning the title too. I just don't see it at this stage, with what's going on. And I think more people would be talking about it too. If Ricochet had come out and then won this match, people would be talking about this match a lot more, I think. But
yes, I agree, but there's also that aspect of, freshly released WWE guy. And I think Ricochet did exactly what he needed to do, have a good showing. And then he turned around and won his first match yesterday at Dynamite against Kyle Fletcher. And that was a good match. So,
if Nigel McGuinness had won this match, people would really be talking about this, right?
Oh my God. If he would have won this match and set up a match between him and that would have been fantastic. I would have been excited.
Yeah.
So,
I just
had a great story. Like Nigel McGuinness is building that story pretty much on his own for like the last year.
Yeah, I think that would have been that would have been fantastic booking if only. But so next we moved on to the AEW American title, at least for now.
American / international title.
Yes. MJF had renamed it. So we got MJF versus Will Ospreay. MJF comes to the ring, by the way. Oh, hold on, let me back up. Will Ospreay comes out first to like an Assassin's Creed entrance. And
upcoming game.
Huh?
Promoting the upcoming game.
Yes, promoting the upcoming game. And so he comes out to that. MJF comes out with this like dressed as Uncle Sam, the big long American hat, dressed in, the flag, everything like that. He gets in the ring when they do their announcements, whatnot. A big American flag drops from the ceiling, or in the background, and instead of the stars, it has little pictures of MJF.
Yep.
Fantastic work as a heel here to this London crowd.
And he looks like a Creed. Like that was the play on.
What was that?
The play on it was he was Apollo Creed.
Yeah. It was really good though. And then as good as all of that was, this match was even better.
It was super good.
They had fantastic work here. I don't know if I haven't seen their almost 1 hour match that they had on Dynamite. I heard that might have been the best match in AEW history to set up this match. I have not watched it, so I can't, confirm or deny.
Super good. They went literally down to nearly TV time, and I mean like nearly TV time. They were down to like a pin at like 1 second left to TV time.
Fantastic timing on it, and it was I hear that was excellent. This match didn't go quite as long, about half amount of time, but it was still really, really good. There's no way I can cover everything in this match. There was lots of cutters and brainbusters and stunner. Yeah, it was
to watch.
Huh?
It's a match that needs to be watched.
Yep. Go watch this match. It's really, really, really good. And the big reveal in this match is we have the returning Daniel Garcia. who basically distracts. He comes down in a mask, and then MJF pulls off the mask, I believe, and it's Daniel Garcia, and he distracts MJF. Doesn't lead directly to the pin here, or the finish, but MJF loads up the knuckles. Oh, that's why Daniel Garcia, that's right, returned and stopped him.
Yep.
And then Ospreay hits the hidden blade, and then he busts out the Tiger Driver, whatever year it is.
Tiger Driver 98.
Yes, Tiger Driver 98.
Teased that he was going to do it.
Yes. And then Ospreay gets the pin, regaining the title. Christopher Daniels is there to present him with the because Will Ospreay basically didn't want the American title, so Christopher Daniels is there to present him with the international title there. And yeah, this was fantastic match. Yeah, definitely match of the night up until this point.
I agree,
and maybe arguably, the match of the night. But following this match was not match of the night. Probably the match that had the biggest expectations that didn't get met. You've got the TBS Women's Championship, Mercedes Moné against Dr. Britt Baker, DMT.
DMD.
That's what I said, DMD.
So I just like said DMT.
No. No. Yeah, Mercedes Moné comes to the ring in basically like a royal entrance, like she's the queen. And this match, I don't know about this. This match never really, felt like it got off the ground. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, first of all, the placement of the match was a little weird. Like, you put that right after Ospreay. I even said, before we knew this was the match that was following that last match, I was like, whoever follows this next, they have to have a cool down match. I think they should have put the Darby Allin, Jack Perry coffin match here.
Which we thought.
Yep. This was like, why would you do this to this match? So the crowd, they're going to have to work harder to get the crowd back into it. But they just didn't have chemistry together. I don't know what it was, but I don't know if Britt Baker was rusty or Mercedes Moné is overrated. I don't know what it is here. But it just, I don't know. I couldn't get into this match. And it was a long match, 17 minutes for this. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
To be honest, I have not been able to get into anything with Mercedes Moné since she left the WWE, honestly. Like, there's not been a single match that, one, I cared about, and two, I felt was good by her stuff. And not saying that she's not a good worker, because I've seen it in the WWE. I've seen good work from her. But I have not been able to see anything good from her since she left. It's almost like she's good, but she kind of needs reins on her. And everyone's afraid to tell her no.
Well, I hear that, the rumor is that she, in her contract, she was given creative control. I think that's a horrible idea, if that's true. I do not believe that she has earned creative control. And listening to her promos, no. Like, if she's coming up with all of that, it's not good. She needs somebody. Some people just need people to help them with their promos.
Yes.
And, that's not a knock either. There's plenty of people that are great at delivering promos if they're written by somebody else or given direction by somebody else. You give somebody full reins to go out there and, all right, say what you want. Some people can do it, some people can't.
Yeah. And yeah, like I just don't see her being able to do what they need her to do. And more importantly, to get the heat or draw relative to what she's doing, especially for the money they're paying her for.
Mm.
And watching Britt Baker doing what she's done for the last 4 years in AEW, and then seeing her in this match, it's night and day difference. Like, I don't know if it's because of coming back from injury or what, but it almost feels like she lost a step in everything. And I can't even say it was her per se, could have been her and Mercedes together, but it just felt like she lost it. And this is a fantastic match on paper.
Yeah.
It was not a good match.
On paper, it's a dream match, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel really bad for Britt Baker. That how far, because this hurt her too. This hurt her stock, because she was the it girl for AEW for the first few years.
Yep.
And now it's almost like, Tony Khan has a shiny new toy. And, it's almost like the Toy Story, storyline of like, Andy's playing with the new toy. These are old toys.
Giggity.
Don't send hate mail to me if you take that the wrong way. I did not mean it in some ways, but I don't know. Definitely, Mercedes' stock has dropped tremendously since she left the WWE.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope that she's able to regain something. Both of them. I hope they're able to, have some good stuff, and that they're good. Their best matches are behind them. I hope they're able to create something memorable. I just don't see it together. So, maybe somebody else can bring it out of them.
We'll have to see. I don't have a whole lot of faith in it.
Yeah, no, I don't at this point. At this point, I like Britt Baker a lot. I'm not excited about seeing anything Britt Baker or Mercedes Moné right now. That's sad to say. Give me Toni Storm and Mariah all day long. Which, if you would have put these two matches on, if you would have told me, a year ago, 2 years ago, that these would be the two matches on Wembley, and Toni Storm versus Mariah was going to be the better match and the better story, I'm not sure I would have believed that. So, anyway, Mercedes wins, retains her title. She's got to do something about that finish. I don't like it. I think it's sloppy. Doesn't look effective.
I agree.
But yeah. Next match, because we talked a lot about that last match.
We're going to.
Huh?
A lot more than I thought we were going to.
Yeah. The next match is the coffin match for the TNT title. Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. This they had, you had your Darby bumps. I do want to mention that Darby Allin comes out with like thumbtacks
on his face.
Like, willingly. He decorated that himself.
I wouldn't even say willingly. I think not only was it like willingly, but it was like his grand idea. Like nobody else is going to talk him out of doing it.
Oh, right. That's usually how it is with him. You've seen his crazy bumps. It's like there's no way somebody told him, "Hey, do this." No, it was his idea. He pushed for it, and he wanted it. Which is, he's with the right opponent than Jack Perry, who pushes his ideas and throws a tantrum if he doesn't get his way, as we've seen. Cry him a river. Anyway, this match, I don't know. They had real glass that they busted out in this match. And Jack Perry lands on the glass. They hit Darby hits him with a skateboard. And then Jack Perry finds a roll of duct tape and ties up Darby's hands. And then Darby hits him with a coffin drop to the floor. And they actually started. I think it was Jack Perry that was bleeding. Maybe it was Darby, but they actually got blood on the camera. It splashed the camera. And Darby gets zipped into a body bag that Jack Perry had brought, and basically drags him to ringside and puts him in the coffin. Darby escapes the body bag, but then Jack just hits him with a running knee, and that's enough to close the lid in the coffin. Jack Perry wins, and then the Young Bucks come out, try to burn Darby alive in the coffin. But then we get the big return of Sting, or a guest appearance, because I don't, he comes out, lays out everybody, which was an awesome, popped the crowd. It's okay as long as he doesn't come back to wrestle again, because then it would just undo everything, all the goodwill that they had with that.
And fantastic last match.
Yeah. It's like, that's the match you want to go on, go out on. So, I don't know. I was about to say, I don't know how I feel about the, like, burning alive thing, but I do. I hate it. They've been using this, like, burning each other thing for a while now. Like, on one of the pay-per-views, Darby used a flamethrower on Jack Perry. It's like,
yes.
How is this not attempted homicide? How is this like I don't know. And why are they no-selling some of this stuff? It's like, you take a flamethrower to somebody, they're not finishing the match. Like, we've come that far where now it's not just Canadian destroyers, that they hit each other with, and then they're, they come back or battle out of it. No, now it's literal flamethrowers they're torching someone with, and they're still no selling it. Like, come on now. I don't like that at all. This was fine for what it was. It was, I don't know, it was better than Jack Perry's match last year. I think it was
against
okay.
Hook.
Yeah, against Hook. We've already covered how I feel about Hook. I feel less of him than, I feel less about him than Austin Theory. We've covered that. But I don't know. This match was okay.
It was what it needed to be for the most part. It was there. It told us, or it capped the story it needed to, I think.
How do you feel about the whole setting people on fire thing here?
It's just the escalation of wrestling, essentially, that it's going to be when you have free reign to do stupid shit.
That's exactly it. It's like, there's like, you want to do that? Sure, do what you want, and nobody's filtering these ideas out. Right?
Exactly.
It's, I don't know. It's, what's next? They're going to bring guns and, into the ring. and shoot each other. Like, I wouldn't put it past some of these guys.
I mean, Arn almost did.
No, he talked about it. He talked about it in promo, which, that was a controversial promo, but it was also kind of badass. The way it was totally an Arn Anderson promo. The way only Arn could get away with that.
Yep.
And not have the sponsors be like, "What?" And pull this from the TV. Not look into him about attempted, not look into, any missing bodies around that Arn Henderson was in the area for. So then we've got our main event. Swerve Strickland defending against Bryan Danielson. If Bryan Danielson loses, his career is over.
Yes.
Bryan Danielson, since we're close to Europe, comes out to the final countdown for his entrance.
Bad pun that was, sir.
Yes.
I didn't expect nothing from you, and yet I was still disappointed.
Yeah, it's big match, when Bryan comes out to final countdown. And it was so fitting. I'm glad they did, because it added a lot to the match, I believe. Him coming down to that, and the crowd loves to chant it. By the way, Danielson, in the media scrum after this, he talked about why he chose Final Countdown as a theme song, like early in his career in Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he saw it on, like, he loves the song, but he saw it on a list of the worst rock songs of all time. And he did it kind of as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And because everybody hated it, but then it caught on and people love it. And so, yeah, that's how that came to be. That Tony Khan's paying a buttload of money to get the rights, licensing to play that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this is good. You got Jim Ross on commentary, so it's a big match. This is a fantastic match. Swerve comes out. I'm a huge fan of Swerve Strickland. Huge fan. And I can't really talk about a lot about in this match. There was a lot going on.
Honestly, we shouldn't talk about a ton, because this is a match that is worth watching more than about any other one. This one and MJF and Ospreay are the two matches for sure to watch from this card. Don't take what we're telling you as something to be set in stone. You need to watch this and get your own opinion. I promise you, if you watch both of these matches, you'll see some of the best wrestling that you'll have ever seen, and hands down, two of the best matches in AEW, period. They were that good.
Yeah, and I would even say you have this match, you have MJF Ospreay, even throw in the gauntlet match, the Casino Gauntlet match, and if those were the only three matches on this show, this is a thumbs way up pay-per-view, and it still is.
And then you also have Tony and Mariah.
Yeah, this pay-per-view blew me away, to be honest. For what AEW does at this stage. This was fantastic. Bryan Danielson eventually puts on the label lock, and Swerve gets out of the label lock, and then Bryan snaps his fingers, and Swerve Strickland taps to end his title reign. This one was fantastic, and the pop was great, and we should mention a couple of things I forgot about. one thing in this match is that Brie Danielson, I should say, because that's what they called her on this. Because that's probably what she's
Formerly Brie Bella.
Yep, formerly Brie Bella. Was ringside with their 2 kids, who I cannot believe they've grown up so fast. Yeah, they were ringside, and so it added that extra emotion here. And yeah, they got in the ring afterwards and celebrated with Brian, and it was a really good moment. And I remembered a spot from earlier in the Tony Storm match with Mariah, where Mariah slapped her mother. It was ringside. I forgot about that. Crazy. That I don't know how I forgot to left that out. But
honestly, it's just such a good pay-per-view, and there's so much good in it. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
To take the time to enjoy it. This is like, we kind of shit on AEW a lot because they often do more style over substance, and this is one of the few times that they put in the effort with the stories, the match quality, and the right amount of time for what they needed to do for everything. This is hands down, I think, maybe one of the best, if not the best, pay-per-view that they have ever had.
This is, if you want to know, if you want to look at AEW and what they do right, this is them at their best.
Yes.
This is them at their best. Because yes, we've critiqued AEW a lot, over the last few months and everything. But I honestly believe a show like this and where things are going, they're starting to turn around and make that switch, and they're starting to build themselves back up.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly.
It's shows like this that's going to do that. They add the stories and get some good stories going, and I think they can get back over 1 million viewers, watching them every week. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I feel a lot better about AEW after a show like this and where they've kind of what's led up to this, and after. I feel a lot better about their future than I did, a few months ago.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think this is the best that they've been in a long time, and I'm excited to see where they go, because they are finally doing something that we've talked about, that others have talked about, and that's they're building stars. Mm-hmm. They're building superstars to be the flagship players for their company. Where it's, Brian and Swerve and MJF and Ospreay and Tony Storm, and they're building these stars. Even Daniel Garcia is starting to be built up as a star, and that's what they've needed this whole time. And now they have stories going behind them with these great heels like Christian and MJF to help build those guys up to make it so you want to watch. This, and then the continuation of what WWE is doing right now, is making me so hopeful that the rest of this year and the beginning of 2025 is going to be an amazing time for the wrestling world.
It's a great time to be a fan.
Yes. With all that being said, Psycho, let's go ahead and just talk real quick over a couple things with Devotion Championship Wrestling. Before we do that, all right, I want to know what your guys' favorite match was. Reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at Be Hero Media, as well as you can go to BeHeroMedia.com for everything that is Be Hero Media. You can find everything with our older shows and information about some of the podcasters here and everything on there. In addition, you can also reach out to me directly at Mike Burke DCW on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and on Twitter at Mike Burke Pro. You can also hit up Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on Facebook. Now we'll talk about upcoming shows with Devotion Championship Wrestling. Upcoming in just about a week, September 7th, and that will actually be at the Salt Lake Art Center in Taylorsville. And that is going to be DCW Presents Controlled, featuring EC3 and Tommy Dreamer. Both great guys coming back out again to join us. It's going to be a hell of a show. Get your tickets now. Tickets are available through our social medias. There's a link for the Salt Lake Art Center to get them. Easiest way to find them is just go to our social medias, which I'll give you guys in just 1 second. And following that, we will be at the Fan X, the Salt Lake City Con, that we will be having September 26th through the 28th at the Salt Palace. Tickets or discounts for those will also be available through our social media, but you can go to fanx.com to get your tickets there for that. And then following that, on October 5th, will be our next show at Light Tree Studios. All great shows coming up. It's going to be an amazing time, guys. I hope to see all of you guys there, and you can find information and get your tickets for all those shows at Devotion Championship Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, DCW Salt Lake City on Twitter, and Devotion Wrestling on TikTok. Ooh, it's been a minute since I had to do that. I almost forgot how I did that. And don't forget, guys, as we go through these shows with Devotion, as well as my own personal shows, I'll be actually going out on the road, out to Arizona here in a couple of months, a couple of times. And there's a possibility I might be going out as far as Iowa coming up soon. We'll see how that goes. So I apologize if we don't get some of these episodes out right away because we'll be gone. So if we don't, please still listen, subscribe, and share because we always need your help with that. But all that being said, Psycho, is there anything else I'm forgetting?
I don't believe so.
All right. So with all of that, and for the rest of Be Hero Media, he has been Psycho, I have been me, and this is us tapping out. Have a good night, guys.